Hi, everybody. Welcome to Reserve Seating. We are doing a same title Showdown episode where we're talking about The Guardian 1990, directed by William Friedkin, and The Guardian 2006, directed by Andrew Davis. But those guys aren't important. Who's important is Leo Brady, who is our special guest. Leo from amovieguy.com and from the Scene Stealers podcast. How are you doing, buddy?
Hello, gentlemen. Thank you so much for having me back. I am doing great. Trying to enjoy what I can of this, tough start of 2025.
Leo, before we get started talking about the movies in more detail, I need to set you up for something we were talking about before we started recording, which is you Friedkin could have named the Guardian the Kinsella connection
Yes.
because tell everybody why he could have done that.
Yeah, so the connection for these two movies is that The Guardian, the Kevin Costner 2006 version, has Kevin Costner in it, and The Guardian, the 1990 version, has Dwyer Brown in it, and the two of them played father and son Kinsellas in Field of Dreams, and they are the two that have a delightful catch at the end of the movie.
All right, The Guardian 1990.
What do you say? What do you
Where to
what do you
begin?
say, Adam?
Um, well, Rob, you had a really good Letterboxd review. Maybe we should start there. Like, what did you say about the Guardian
Oh,
on
what is, what
Letterboxd?
is my letterbox review? Hold on.
It was about the screenwriter having a nervous breakdown.
Oh yeah. According to screenwriter Stephen Volk, this is from Wikipedia. Sam Raimi had dropped out of the production to direct Darkman, at which point William Friedkin was brought in to direct. The script, which had originally been conceived as a tongue-in-cheek thriller for Raimi, eventually metamorphosed into something different during the course of filmmaking as Friedkin made numerous changes. Volk attempted to rework the script for Friedkin, but as Friedkin was dismissing his ideas, he suffered a nervous breakdown and left the production, leaving Friedkin to finish the script's loose ends after filming had already begun. And let me
Wow.
tell you, you can feel it in this one.
Yeah, one of the anecdotes I heard was that the lead actress, I think it's Jenny Seagrove, she went up to Friedkin and was just like, "Why are we doing this tree thing? Why can't she just be an evil nanny?" And the Friedkin's just like, "Yeah, she's just an evil nanny." And then the screenwriter and the producers was like, "No, this is about an evil tree."
I think last time we were talking about uh what's it called? Full Moon, or what was the movie we were talking
Bad
about?
Moon.
Bad Moon. That had the best dog. This movie has the best tree. What did you guys think of the architecture of Ned Runcie?
Which one was Ned Runcie? Was he the
Ned
one who
Run
gets
He's the
attacked in the
motherfucker that gets
middle?
killed.
Yeah, he's the architect who just seemingly comes back to his own homes that he's constructed and does extra handiwork around the house. I
And like
mean,
hits on people. Like he
Well, he
walks
picks
into
up
like
chicks.
he walks into his own houses to pick up chicks. It's crazy.
It
yeah.
worked on Elaine Bennis in real life
Yeah.
because he's married to
Very
Julia
true.
Louise Dreyfus. I had a couple of moments. One is the architect scene where he's being hunted by the malicious wolves. And then the other one was the first tree attack on the attempted rapist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, where I was on the fence about what I thought of this movie. I thought it was just a bad like Friedkin exercise, but then those scenes happen, and I'm just like, oh no, this is like some kind of weird mix of Evil Dead and Italian horror. And
The violence has a giallo feel to it. It's like
Yeah,
gnarly
it does.
out of nowhere.
yeah, there's good stuff in this movie.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
It
How,
certainly turns the volume up and becomes ultra campy in the last like 10 minutes because it is
Yeah.
just like we're gonna throw everything that we have at this ending. Hopefully you won't have recognized that this movie was a complete mess.
I like that Friedkin can't shake off To Live and Die in LA in this movie because
yes.
he's got
Yes.
the front man from Wang Chung is the composer of the movie, and the score is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also the tree goddess, who's the villain.
Hmm?
at the end of the movie, she's all painted up like Willem Dafoe's girlfriend in To Live and Die in LA when she's doing like performance art and stuff. And I'm just like, Friedkin's got a Friedkin. This is the
Yeah.
greatest.
Hey, I'm proud of you for finding those connections because honestly, I was like, this feels like the least Friedkin movie I've ever seen. And
Okay.
now maybe it's just like right back in his wheelhouse. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like it has his eccentricities for
Got his
sure.
grime. It's got
Yeah.
his grime. It's got his greasy little grime all over it. Definitely.
Yeah.
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 But
Yeah.
you can definitely feel like that he's headed towards that like because like this was his period where he was doing episodes of like The Twilight Zone and Tales from the Crypt. Adam, you probably could talk about that more than me.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
but like he kind of is headed towards sort of nastier streak, especially with like Jade. I mean, Jade is kind of that movie that has like much more of
Yeah.
an erotic feel, and
Mhm.
it felt like he was trying to throw all of that stuff, all of the things that he likes to have in his movies into this thing, and none of it really does work, but it is watchable.
For me, it's like the perfect kind of mess movie where I was thoroughly entertained throughout. It's a movie only a crazy person could have made. And you had mentioned the wolves to burn, but we also got a Miguel Ferrer to
Oh
Yes,
burn.
my
a Miguel
God.
Ferrer to burn and a Xander Berkeley to burn.
And it's Xander
And
Berkeley,
a
yeah.
Teresa Randall to burn. It's
Yes.
just like
Oh my God. Yeah, they don't even like introduce Teresa Randall. They're just like, yeah,
I
say
don't
hello and then you're gonna
yeah.
die.
I don't think she was like anybody yet in 1990, but like I've always been a fan of Teresa Randall and to see her like unceremoniously dispatched at the beginning of the movie. I don't even know if it's the tree that gets her. It was just she falls off of like a bike path or something.
Yeah.
I like that he knows it's a mess and he's trying to like solve it with fireworks rather than, something more like mundane. I thought it was really
Yeah.
fun.
Rather
Yeah.
than duct tape.
Exactly. That's a better analogy.
Oh, and the joke that I talked to Adam about was that the owl at the beginning and the end is the Zyzal medication owl from the Zyzal commercials.
When I was doing some research about this movie, this is apparently one of two movies, and I can't remember the other one, that Friedkin never talked about, like in his memoirs
Hmm.
or his autobiography or documentaries, which he has plenty of them, and I recommend all of them. They're great. So would you say, Rob, using David Lynch parlance, the conversation is the movie about the Guardian?
The werewolf is doing the talking.
Absolutely.
This should go straight up the list of Scary Movie Month commentaries. Yeah.
Patrick.
Yeah.
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 Patrick.
Throw it to the top, Patrick.
Oh, Rob's got the fisheye lens. All right. So we are going to talk about The Guardian 2006,
Yes.
directed by Andrew Davis, who had one of the great runs and then it stopped.
Incredible run. A truly incredible run.
Yeah.
I saw this in theaters.
Yes.
When I revisited it last week for the episode, I was reminded of its length. I feel like this movie's like a docu-series about the history of the Coast Guard. I mean, it's like so comprehensive, it seems, of like the training program of the Coast Guard. Like, I feel like I went through boot with
Me
them
too. Yeah,
where,
I feel like I did it. Yep.
yeah, it feels like you go through the entire duration of this program. I had two main thoughts on it. I think this is a John Travolta movie that Kevin Costner just happens to star in
Yep.
Yes.
because
100%.
this is Ladder 49.
Yes.
You're right.
They
Totally.
could have called it Ladder 50. And I think that it's a fascinating Kevin Costner movie, which I'll get to in a second. But I think that obviously the Achilles heel of the movie is Ashton Kutcher.
Uh,
What do you mean?
just,
He's so charismatic in this.
just
Yeah.
so
Ashton
drowning, for
Ashton
lack of a
Kutcher
better
is
term.
wet wallpaper paste in this movie. He is
Yeah.
completely checked out. He has no interest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, and having Ashton Kutcher makes it feel less of an Andrew Davis movie. This feels
Mm.
like after Andrew Davis's awesome run, you can sense that he's trying to put in his character actors that he loves to use in his movies, but that's not really working. And I think it's all derailed by Ashton Kutcher's character that is kind of a dweeb and a wiener that we don't really want to root for anyway. And I would rather have been watching an entire movie about Costner's character.
Yeah, and Costner tries to make the entire movie about Costner's
Well, yeah,
character.
there's no doubt about it. Costner's
Yeah.
trying to be like, what if there was more me in this movie?
Yeah.
That's one thing I love. Like, you would think Kevin Reynolds directed this movie for as much
Yes,
interference
totally.
Costner seems to have put his thumb on. Like,
My absolute favorite, like, Costnerism in this movie
yeah.
is when Ashton Kutcher gets his ass kicked at the Navy bar, and then Costner comes in and goes, "No, no, no, we're gonna do this scene again, except I'm gonna win."
I like also that Costner has no real sure footing with this character at all, other than it's whatever is Kevin Costner's whim of the moment. Because I
Yep.
wrote this down. It's equal parts. No one's more awesome than me. No one's more sad than me. No one gives up faster than me, and I'm water Jesus Christ.
And he just has a sixth sense to go back and save somebody one more time at the end. I mean, he's just,
Yeah,
which
but he
I was shocked.
but he choked like as a Coast Guard like
Yeah.
lifesaver towards in the third act. So like
Yes.
why is now that he's dead, is he a better a better rescue swimmer?
I, yeah. And I didn't get like, I thought the movie could have like flipped it where his trauma was coming back just because like two guys who were lost in a canoe all of a sudden was like giving him PTSD. I was like, he's had a lot worse things happen to him. How is
Yeah.
this affecting him that bad? Not to demean his traumas, but like, I mean, you're Kevin Costner. You're like, get it together.
Yeah. I like his water PTSD in that scene because the guy gets hit in the head with a canoe and he's just like, Kutcher, he's dead. Let's go.
Yeah, but this is just so full of the great cost. I mean, the great Costnerisms of like, I've got the marriage that's hanging by a thread.
Hmm?
Yeah.
I'm washed up. My boys love me. My commanders love me, but it's just getting a little long in the tooth there. But he's not resistant. He's being stubborn. He's got to teach these boys about real heroism and real courage, and it's just like he
He's
just
gonna take
lives
him right to the line.
he lives for this shit, and I'm
Yeah.
Yeah.
just always so happy to see him do it. I'm so like I just want Costner to be Costner. It's so great.
Yeah.
It's such a
Nobody does it better.
nobody does, and this
No.
is the movie where your movie clock is irrelevant. You might as well throw it out the window. I was scrolling and checking how much the runtime, where we were at. Like I was like, oh, we're in the third act, and it's an hour in. Oh, we're entering the fourth act, and it's an hour and 10 minutes in. Oh, here comes the fifth act at 2:10. It's such just the most fragrant of cheeses, and I just really
Yes.
enjoyed it.
Because like the whole first half feels so predictable. It
Yes.
is predictable. It's been done. Like Adam said, it's Ladder 49. It's like other movies about the veteran teaching the
Yes.
young guy. And yet by the final half of the movie, I was like, okay, now it's working for me. It just in the beginning, I was just like, this isn't working for me because I know where it's going. I just know what's happening. But then I'm like, oh, Costner's gonna not let this movie be dragged down by its predictability.
It's weird too because like both actors have the same arc in a way, and it's like choose your own adventure who you want to
Which movie do you feel like
yeah,
watching? You can have
Yeah,
both.
because in Ladder 49 it's like this is the story of this firefighter and he has a mentor, but it's not about the mentor.
No,
But
right.
Costner's such an egomaniac, and I say that in the
to be
nicest
about the
way,
money.
that Kutcher and Costner have the same, they need a redeemer.
Yes.
If this were Ladder 49, Kutcher's character would die and Costner's character would be like, okay, I need to just train the next one and stuff like that. This is my place now and everything.
Right.
But he just can't not be Water Jesus. He has to be Water Jesus.
What did you guys think of the like 2006 Moby-esque montage sequences, training sequences? I just was like,
Oh,
this is so TRL. This
yeah.
feels like a 2000 movie with
Literally, when that sequence started, I said
yeah.
out loud, 2006.
Yeah. I like some of the direction of the action sequences. Like some of the rescues I think
Rescue
are
stuff is
well
good.
shot and exciting.
Yeah.
But they also have like weird strobe moments and or like weird editing where it's like they make the frame rate different and it's all weird.
Yeah.
Um I could have done with either 100% more or 100% less sauceless Kutcher romance
Yeah,
subplot.
get that right out of there. Get that
Yeah,
That
right
shit
out.
was
and
that shit made Joaquin Phoenix and Jacinda Barrett look like Jack and Rose in Titanic.
there was such a sort of disdain in a way between the two of them for their professions. It was just like, oh, you're a teacher and I'm a Coast Guard person,
Yeah.
and I'm dealing with death and you're not. Like I just was so like put off by their whatever was supposed to be their witty banter between the two of them. I just was
So
like,
witty.
yeah,
So
not
witty.
winning me over. A couple things that I wrote down was I think I'm guessing that a lot of the extras or the people who were rescued really enjoyed being cuddled by Kevin Costner in the life rafts. That had to
Sure.
just be a moment where they were like, "Wow, I can't believe I'm here being saved by Kevin Costner." And then the other thing was, I was like, "Wow!" For a moment there, it felt like a helicopter crash was going to actually save his marriage. And by the way, if I was Kevin Costner's character, I would totally be okay with retiring with Celia Ward for the
Yeah.
rest of my life and not putting my life at risk. I'm just gonna say that.
Because you don't get it. You're not a sea Jesus.
All right. I got a hot take question for the two of you.
Yeah.
All right. I sometimes am not 100% on board with the hero worship of this profession type movie.
Mm.
Not Coast Guard specifically, but like the Fall Guy, where it's just like, give it up for the stuntmen. And I'm like, I was silently. Does it protest too much, or do you think these movies are like recruiting tools, or like why does a movie about the Coast Guard exist, like The Guardian?
Yeah, I mean, I think every branch of the military wants to have its Top Gun, and I think that every branch of the military should probably have it. And I think we should judge them based on their quality because they can't all be Top Gun. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think like to the again going back to the thing that I always point out about these movies, whether it's G.I. Jane or this, it's like they always have to make sure that they have a montage sequence. They always have to make sure that they show you how painful the procedure is and going through it to be able to last until the end. And it felt like this was kind of like if it was an officer and a gentleman, it would remove Costner's character entirely and not focus on him at the end, and we would have just ended with Kutcher going back to the school, which
Mhm.
oddly felt like Kindergarten Cop. It'd be Kutcher going back to the school to get the teacher girlfriend, but instead, like you said, this is Costner's movie. It's not. He's not going to let it be anything other than that.
I gotta get back to the kindergarten cop thing that you said.
Yeah, yeah,
Because, Rob, you're a teacher.
man.
How many times a year do guys show up to sweep female teachers off their feet in front of the entire
One
classroom?
of my favorite ridiculous movie tropes that just could not, a person could not just walk into a public school. The teacher would be fired. Like, they just, like, I love when they're like, hold on a second. They go out in the hallway and they have a conversation. Like, those students would be ripping that classroom to pieces.
I think the impressive part is when they get the students to cheer for them, like they were like invested in this relationship the whole time, and they're like, "Oh my God, Mrs. Krabappel is finally dating Seymour Skinner."
Another trope I really like that this movie does is whatchamacallit. Okay, Costner's name is Ben Randall.
Yeah.
And there's the woman who's the lifer at the bar
Yeah.
who is
Yes.
just like, if anybody within an earshot says anything negative about Ben Randall, she's just like, let me tell you about Ben Randall. So it's like not even like Costner's hero work. It's like a proxy for Costner, like being a hype man. It's great.
I'll tell you guys what, too. I love that soliloquy she gives about aging.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want you guys to read that at my funeral because that ruled. Well, the whole thing about like getting old means you've lived and loved and screwed and blah blah blah. It's just like great. I
Mhm.
loved it.
Yeah.
There are some good like heroic lines that I noticed. Save the ones you can, Jake. The rest you've got to let go. You know,
In Costner's voice. It's amazing.
yeah, like it's just kind of like I won't let go. I know, like there's just so many, there's so many. Oh, there's also too, that's what I wanted to bring up too. If you watched this and then Cliffhanger as a double feature, it'd be pretty bleak of people holding somebody's hand
Holding on
with a
to
glove.
tethered. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that
Hmm.
it just would be an odd mix there.
Yeah.
Do you
I
think?
I read that there was an alternate ending for this movie where Costner's character survives and they pull him up and then the rope or the thing snaps right when they get in the helicopter.
Survive.
But Disney chairman Dick Cook said no, go with the original ending. And I just think it's cool that for Kevin Costner's kind of a dick and he's totally cooking in this
Yep.
movie, that a fellow Dick Cook said, I see you. I think that you could have done a trade of 2006 movies, and I know he's persona non grata now, but it would have been a better movie if you traded James Franco from Annapolis for Ashton Kutcher from The Guardian.
No
Yes.
joke. I was like 25 minutes into watching this movie and thinking I had seen it before and realized that the movie I was thinking of was Annapolis.
An outlaw cinema classic. So before we wrap up, same title showdown, which Guardian is your winner?
So, I watched Costner Guardian, Andrew Davis Guardian first, and then I watched the Friedkin Guardian. If you would have shown those two movies in front of me, I would have told you I was going to be picking the Friedkin one all the way. I even started off rocky with the Andrew Davis Guardian, but
Hmm.
by the end, I was won over by sort of the character actors, the collected cast, and the whole Kevin Costner of it all. It just kind of struck a chord for me, and it did feel like the perfect movie that I could watch with my son.
And I will go with Friedkin Guardian. So Leo, thank you for joining us. Where can everybody find your work?
You can get me all at amovieguy.com and be sure to check. I'm on Blue Sky with all the rest of you guys. So that's where you can see a lot of my talks about movies.
We will be back next week, starting off Jason Scott Lee month with special guest Joel Edmiston and Dragon the Bruce Lee story. So until next time.
These Coast Guard rescue swimmers are reserved.